Good morning students. Today we will be studying about the fourth part of this chapter, the Stone Age, and this fourth part of this chapter is the Calcolithic Age, which we will be studying today. In Calcolithic Age, it is also known as the Bronze Age or the age of the metals, when the metals were discovered. So in Calcolithic age, when we start studying about the Calcolithic age or the Bronze Age, the question comes, from where did this Bronze Age started, or from where the development of this Bronze Age started. So coming to the point, the Bronze Age took its course in the Eastern Hemisphere. Eastern Hemisphere, that means somewhere in the Middle East somewhere in the Middle East. And to be more specific about the countries, it started in the Egypt on the banks of the Nile River, from where the first civilization started. Then in the Indus Valley civilization when it started. But talking about the Bronze Age, it is usually divided into three main eras. First was the early Bronze Age, then the middle Bronze Age, and the late Bronze Age. But the complete development of the Bronze Age is also known as the age of metals, the metallic age. Now the Chalcolithic age is also known as the Copper Age. It began around 4500 BC. BC means the before Christ. This was the age of metals. The discovery of copper, the discovery of bronze took place in this era, the discovery of which was milestone in the growth of the entire civilization or the development of the mankind. The use of the copper was at large, but later it was also mixed with other metals. Now, as you have studied in science, the mixing of two metals is also known as alloys. So alloys were discovered in this age only. The Indus Valley civilization is the best example in the civilization of Copper Age. The metal was mainly used to make the tools for hunting and farming, etc. So Chalcolithic age is also known as the Copper Age. Now the Bronze Age. The Bronze Age is the period which is characterized by the use of bronze. Bronze were the literatures were also written on the paper made up of bronze and other early features of the urban civilization. The Bronze Age is the second principal period of the three stages of the Bronze Age system as proposed in the modern times of Christian Jurgensen's Thompson are classified as studying ancient societies. Basically, the ancient Bronze Age, it is the development of the bronze was in the late Bronze Age, which was somewhere in 16,000 BC to 1200 BC. Now, how we study about all these ages, the Bronze Age or the Chalcolithic age, the Bronze Age or the Chalcolithic age, we study about the artifacts which we get from these ages. Now the question comes, was the Bronze Age or the Metal Age better than the Stone Age? How can we say or how can we prove that the Metal Age was the better age than the Stone Age? Of course, when you come to study, because the stones are heavier and difficult to use, whereas metals are light and more stronger and they are easy to use. Now coming to artifacts, what are the artifacts? Artifacts are the things, the pots, the weapons, the tools, spreadsheet, chisels, axes made up of bronze which we get from that era or from that specific period of time. We get the things, they are known as artifacts, by which we can study or we can come to know about what was the things which were used by the people of that time. So As a result, the woodworking techniques, because the metals or the tools made of metals were used at that time, so woodwork improved and the carvings started to happen. The people started to carve the stones, carve the woods, etc. from the with the help of these tools available at that point of time. Now, what are the artifacts? Artifacts of the Calcolithic age. Coming to the artifacts of the Calcolithic age, most of the artifacts were made up of either bronze or copper. So, we study about this age with the help of these artifacts only. Now, we discover the various artifacts from the various parts of the world, which I am going to show you in our next slide. For example, this artifact, the pot, that is found that is from 1700 BC to 1500 BC. It was found in 1837 in a burial site. So, from this we also come to know that in this age the people, because they started living a civilized life, so they started burying the bodies also of the dead ones. So this pot is found from the burial site on Bodmin Moor in Cornwall, along with the bronze dagger, ivory, pottery and glass beads, etc. It was given to King William IV, who used it as a pot in which to keep the cufflinks, and he used in his daily life this. Now, talking about the other artifacts, the Calcolithic copper mine in the Tim Valley, somewhere in the Israel, has been discovered, and this is one of the most important artifacts of this era, or you can say the Calcolithic age. Now, I will show you in your next slide that what all other artifacts we discovered and from that era. Now, the next artifact is, this is a silver cup which has been discovered from the Mardwash Fars from the linear illuminate inscription, late 3rd millennium BC. In late 3rd millennium BC, this cup was discovered from Mardwash Fars. This is the place where the people were found used to live in the Calcolithic age. Now, the bronze mirror. If you can see in the picture, students, that there is a mirror which carries the shape of a female human figure, and it was found in 18th century in Egypt, and it was used by the royal family of that period in 1540 to 1296 BC. Coming to the next artifact is as you can see, it's a sphinx lion from Egypt, and this was also discovered as one of the most important artifacts. So now, as you have seen that from these artifacts we can study a lot, we can discover a lot, many things, that what kind of lifestyle was there in the Calcolithic age. Now, Bronze Age. Of course, the Bronze Age was better than the Stone Age. How can we say this? So, to prove this statement correct, we can discuss so many things, how they used to, what kind of houses they used to live in, what kind of tools they used, what kind of utensils they used, the jewelry used by them. So, we can compare so many facts, and we can tell that why the Bronze Age was better than the Stone Age. The Bronze Age. Talking about the Bronze Age, it started somewhere in 3000 BC, and ended till 750 BC. The milestone in the history, or this was the time period that was really important in the evolution of the mankind, or in our history. The first large scale of use of metals. So metals were used very evidently in this period of time, and the metals were more stronger and harder. The bronze, because it was an alloy, so it was more stronger, and it has very less maintenance. That is why the Bronze Age was the one of the most important ages. About the Bronze Age, coming to the Bronze Age, it was the time period characterized by the use of bronze, photo writing, and early features of the urban civilization. Bronze Age is the second part of the three systems: the Stone Age, Bronze Age, and Iron Age. Bronze was used widely to make tools, weapons, and other implements. We use bronze where we cannot use iron and copper because of their corrosive nature. Corrosive nature means they used to get iron starts rusting, whereas bronze do not. The Bronze Age lasted roughly 3000 years and saw major advance in the social, economical, and technological wartime. So, and even in the war times and the social life also. These were the main key points of the Bronze Age. Now, why the Bronze Age? The Bronze Age was one of the most important ages. So, just like Stone Age, Stone Age stage is also known as the age of early humans, and in this age the humans made their tools from stones. And in Bronze Age, the Bronze Age is known as Bronze Age because the people, the human living in that time, they started making their tools from bronze. What is bronze? Bronze is an alloy made from copper and tin, and because it is an alloy, it is very strong, and it is rust free, and it is more durable. Now, the great inventions made in this era were the wheel. The invention of wheel was one of the greatest inventions. Then the discovery of sail, which the people are using on the boats till date, even in all the coastal areas. And the plow. Plow initially was made up of wood and stone, but then in this stage the humans discovered that plow can also be made from the metal. It can be made up of bronze. So, all these discoveries made this age a very important age, and these discoveries changed the face of the mankind or the human history. So, that is why this age is very important, students. Now we can study about the clothes. What in this era, what kind of clothes do people wear? So, by the Bronze Age, the wool was being woven into sheets of fabric and used to make clothes. And when we talk about the dresses of the women, they used to wear long skirts and short tunics, and they were quite modern and very beautiful dresses worn by the women of that time. Now coming to men, men also wear the knee length wrap around the skirts or kilt like woolens, tunics, cloaks, one piece garment they used to wear on their entire body, and the round woolen hats were also worn by the males of that time or the men of that time, because they used to go out for various work in this era, in this period. So now after talking about the woolen clothes, we will see that what kind of weather was there. The weather in the Britain has become warmer and drier at the end of the Stone Age. whereas in the initial Stone Age the weather was more humid and more colder. The cold and humid weather was there. The Bronze Age saw another changes in the climate. The weather forced people to move from hills which were easier to defend and into valleys where it was easier to grow food and find shelter. Now, the spread of farming meant the end of the large burial sites, and the animals started grazing in the fields, and the large areas of the woodland started to be cut down and make more land available for farming. Now, what type of houses did they live in? They live in the houses made up of wood and straws, and they were farming household might have consist of two houses. The main houses would be used to live in, and outhouses used for cooking and textile purposes, productions, etc. Now the houses, if you look the houses from inside, they had the sleeping areas, they had the storage areas, the granaries used by by those people at that time. And the animals which they used to domesticate, they also used to keep those animals inside their houses, inside the boundary of their houses. So in my next slide I will show you how the rooms of these houses used to look at that time. Now you can have a look of the room or the house, how it used to look at that time, and you can see the loom which the hand loom which they used to knit, the clothes which they were wearing at that time. And they had a special place to sleep, they had pots of water they keep inside, and the roof was made up of straws and with the help of bamboo sticks. So this is a view, or this kind of houses they used to live in, that in the Calcolithic age, or in the middle in the last era of the Metal Age. Now after in this Metal Age you will study about the social changes also. So it started from 7000 BC to 5000 BC. The trade development started happening because people could trade metal for other things, and the villages start growing because the abundance of the food, the population started increasing and the villages started growing. Social inequalities increased because people in societies had metal and had more power than the other societies. So metals were also considered as the wealth of the human being at that time. Now as we are studying the Metal Age means the metallurgy was invented at that time. What is the metallurgy? Metallurgy is how you obtain a pure metal from its ore. Ore is the raw form of that metal. Now these metals were used to make tools and weapons and jewelries also. Which metal did they use to make jewelry? Initially the copper was used to make jewelry, then the bronze, and then the iron. Iron was the strongest metal which they discovered in the end of that era. Now in Stone Age, if you see, a massive stone circle is built on the site of the earthwork and the burial grounds from South Stone Age in the southwest England. You must have seen on the television also that these great and these big stone henges. Dear students, have you seen these sites ever in the television? It was in the process of being built and adapted over 1000 years. So no one knows why it was built, these stone henges, but yes, we know that these stone henges are built. So students, this is the end of the Calcolithic age, or you can say this is the end of our chapter. In our next class we will be revising revising the entire chapter. So if you just read the chapter and if you find any difficulties, you can ask anytime, students. So right now